So was that accidental or was that on purpose?
I think it's natural selection. I think it's just the way the abiogenesis happened,
Is
and
natural
it's not
selection
saying that
random or is natural selection on purpose?
natural
Is it
selection
accidental?
is
Like what?
I wouldn't say it's accidental.
So
I just
what
think
is
it's
it?
the way the world. I just think it's the way the world tended to fold, tended to naturally happen. Something can be natural and not be random.
Okay. So can you demonstrate or give any empirical evidence that we came from monkeys?
Yeah. So why do you think you have a tailbone?
That isn't a answer to my question. That's just another
So
question.
so okay. So I'll answer. So we have a tailbone because it's a what science calls a coccyx. That's a scientific word for it. But we have a tailbone because our common ancestors had tails.
Yeah, you're
Some people
assuming, you're making an
no no
assumption
no
here. You're making a
no
fatal
no no
flaw by assuming
that's not an assumption.
that
That's
the
fact.
tailbone that we derived the tailbone from the monkeys. How do you know that monkeys didn't
No,
get
I
the
didn't. So I didn't
tailbones
say.
from us?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that the tailbone arrived from the monkey. It arrived from our common ancestor.
Okay, so the common ancestor would be the monkey.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the tailbone,
Oh no,
we
actually,
got
no,
the
no, no. So
tailbone from the monkey.
the common ancestor wouldn't be the monkey.
What's the common ancestor? I
The
thought you
common
just said the
ancestor.
monkey is the common ancestor.
No, so I misspoke. The
Okay.
common ancestor wouldn't be the monkey. It would be the bipedal form of evolution. Homo erectus, Homo fragilius. There's a bunch of different forms of humans that bridge the gap between man. There's that bridge the gap between ape and man.
Okay. So, but if you take it all back, these Homo erectus and things, they got the tailbone from the monkey?
Yeah, they
Okay.
got to tell
So
one
look,
from our common
if
ancestor. Yeah.
yeah, so you're not refuting the argument or even making an argument. You're actually proving the argument that well, the Homo erectus, human beings got the tailbone from the Homo erectus. The Homo erectus got it from the monkey. So I'm just saying, my question to you is that I need an answer to is very simple because you're making an assumption that that's where the
It's fact. It's not an assumption. It's fact.
Okay, you want me to finish my sentence or?
Go for it. I
Okay,
apologize.
got you. So you're making an assumption that the tailbone derived from the monkey, tailbone, right? In monkey, you're saying that it derived over time to human beings from the monkey, right? That's the assumption you're making. Now, there's no empirical evidence for you to prove that. And my question is this, the tailbone that we have, how do you know that the monkeys actually didn't get it from us? So the argument is simple. I just flip it on you. I can say that, well, no, the monkeys got the tailbones from us. Actually, monkeys came from human beings.
That's not the way.
The point is, you wouldn't have any empirical evidence for it. I wouldn't
I
have any
can give
empirical
you.
evidence for it.
I can
We
give
would
you the
just be
empirical evidence.
assuming something, but your assumption
keep
says
using the
that,
word
well,
assumption when it's
the
fact.
tailbone comes from the monkey. My assumption is, well, you don't have no evidence. You're just saying it. And then my assumption with
I
no
could
evidence is,
literally
well,
give you
no, the
that. I could
tailbone came
literally
from
give you
us, and
that.
that's how the monkeys got it.
You're not letting me give you that. I could literally give you that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if you look at the evolutionary chain, right? There's multiple different forms of human beings. If you look at our evolutionary species, our skeletal structure, our bipedal nature. If you go back in history in the evolutionary chain, you could see that these sets of genomes match these creatures.
Do you know that we're about 70% of our DNA matches with a banana? So did the
So
banana
you
come
just
from us or did we come from
screw
the
everything I
banana?
just said. So screw everything I just
No,
said. Screw
everything you
all
just
that, right?
said, everything you just said goes into what I just said. That's what it means. You're just saying that just because a certain percentage of DNA matches with something, this means that it comes from that. You're making that assertion. You're just making an assertion that, oh, well, this is a match here within the DNA structure, so therefore, this is where we came from. I'm asking you, well, how do you know that all of this other stuff that matches our DNA, how do you know that that didn't derive from us? Can you answer that question? How do you know? So just because we share some type of commonality within our DNA, this doesn't mean that that's where we derive from. That's my argument. So go ahead. I'll land my plane. Go ahead.
Yeah.
How do you know that the monkeys didn't come from us, but we came from the monkeys? Where's that distinction? Answer that.
Because we have empirical evidence that shows the human evolution. I mean, you can make those faces.
Wait, what empirical evidence? That's what I'm waiting for.
Because we have multiple different forms of humans. You know that, right?
The multiple different forms does not demonstrate how we got our tailbones from the monkey, because monkeys are still, why are monkeys still here?
That's like saying,
if we derive from monkeys,
that makes no sense.
No. It's a question. Please try to answer it. If you are asserting that we came from monkeys and we got the tailbone from the monkeys, and then was these other humanoid species that also started developing the tailbone, and then the human form, that's how we got it. It came from the monkey. But these other human forms are no longer here. But how the freak the monkeys are here?
That's like saying if Americans are originally from Europe.
No, I'm asking you. I'm not saying anything. I'm asking you.
Yeah. That is what I just said. That's an actual good comparison that you can compare it to. That's like saying if Americans come from Europe, why is Europe still here? No. It's easy. Because America's migrated, and over time we spread out, similar to evolution.
What? You're saying that something changed, bro. You're saying that the monkeys, you're speaking about a change. It's a gradual change. So if monkeys changed to humans, actually changed, and there were different forms of humans, why aren't those other humans here, but the most weakest form is still here? How did the superior and the weaker survive, but this middle section just all died?
Because we didn't come from monkeys. We came from the common ancestor.
Bro, he moved. Hey, coach, I can't score, coach. He's moving the goalposts. So,
I've said that since the beginning.
Coach,
I've said that since the beginning.
Coach, he just said that we derived from monkeys, and monkeys is a common ancestor.
I've said common ancestor from the beginning. Read your own playbook, because you don't know.
But if it's we walk through it. If it's a common ancestor, here's what you said. First, let's just rewind it back. I said, so you saying that we came from monkeys? You say, yeah. And then you said,
no, I didn't say that.
Listen,
I didn't say that.
Stop it. You're a liar. You said, I misspoke. You said, oh, no, I misspoke. I'm
not a liar. I'm somebody that lies. But
no, listen. You said, I misspoke. We actually derived from other humanoid species.
Didn't say that either.
All right. So now, since you're a liar, if we're gonna have an honest, if we're gonna have a conversation, you can't be lying, bro. Or I'm going to boot you.
I'm not lying.
So okay, I got it. Listen, since you failed any of your arguments on trying to prove evolution, can you answer this question for me though?
Go ahead.
Can you answer this question? Because you haven't answered any of my questions. How about you answer my first original question? Can you try to answer this one question?
Go ahead.
Okay, got it. My first original question was, evolution posits that everything is materialistic. Do you agree to that?
I don't think evolution posits that.
Okay, so evolution does not posit. Do you want to just Google your worldview? You don't even know what your worldview posits. Evolution does posit that
there's an atheist worldview.
There's just a materialistic worldview. Are you a physicalist? Do you believe in only the physical, the material? Yes or no?
I believe anything that can be proven.
Okay, so you're an empiricist. You only believe in things that can be proven. So then, how about logic. Can logic be empirically proven?
Can logic be empirically proven?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
How can you empirically prove logic?
Because we have brains that can logically and consciously think.
That's not proving logic exists. I'm asking you to empirically prove logic exists. So can you find logic under a microscope in a brain? Can you find this?
Because logic is a concept.
So logic is a mental concept.
Yeah.
Oh, and this mental concept, is it physical?
No, it's not physical.
Okay, so it's not physical. So then if you're an empiricist, then what empirical evidence do you have to prove this immaterial concept?
The immaterial concept of logic?
Yes. Where is it? Where is it? Can you find it anywhere? We need empirical evidence.
Can you define logic?
Okay. Do you know the 3 laws of logic?
Can you refresh my memory?
I could just tell you, bro. The first law is the law of identity. Right. The second law of the law is the law of excluded middle. The third is the law of non-contradiction. Currently, right now, in order for us to speak sentences, we are both utilizing logic. So I'm asking you, right? If you are an empiricist, then you only believe this words that came out of your mouth. You only believe in things that can be empirically proven.
I never said only. Go ahead.
Okay. So do you only believe, listen, man, you lying so much, man. I'm gonna ask you again. Do you only believe in things that can be empirically proven? Yes or no?
Do I only believe things that can be empirically proven? No, because I believe, but I do proportion my beliefs to the evidence.
And what type of evidence would satisfy you to believe that something is true? Is it physical evidence that you'll need? Yes or no?
Physical evidence? It depends on the thing. It depends on what you're asking me.
I'm asking you about logic. You just said that logic isn't in the physical world. It's a material. You said it's a concept. I'm asking you, where is it? You said that, well, I need evidence, but there's no evidence for logic in it of itself other than us utilizing logic as a tool. But can you actually find logic in it of itself? Can you find it in a microscope? Is there any type of evidence that you have for logic?
Well, no, the concept of logic can't be physically found under a microscope, and neither can hope, and neither can belief, and neither can anything.
Can you? Okay, great. Thank you for saying that. You can't find it under a microscope. So then what's your evidence for it other than us using logic?
What's my evidence for logic other than us using logic?
Yes, because that wouldn't be proof. Like, how can you prove something exists by just saying that, oh, well, the proof is that I'm using it right now? That's not evidence for the thing itself.
How can you prove? So what you're asking me is, how can I prove a concept exists other than us using the concept as the concept existing?
Yes.
That's the proof, the concept existing.
Okay, well, if that's the case, the concept of, if that's the case, that you believe that logic exists just because, it's a concept in the mind and the concepts exist, well, you know what? I believe in Narnia. Also, I believe Barney is real. Barney is real. Barney is just not a cartoon. Barney is real. It's a real dinosaur dragon looking thing that's purple. And it's this concept in my mind. If it's the case that all we need for things to actually have evidence to exist within your worldview, if it's just concepts that we use, then any concept that I magically make in my head would be evidence for the thing to exist. So Barney, Narnia is actually true. I'm Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, nigga, I turn Super Saiyan. I'm really like that. That's this concept, in my mind that I utilize. So that's evidence
That thing
for
would
it.
also have to reflect reality.
What you talking about?
That thing we would also have to make sure that that thing reflects with the reality and what we know about the world.
Okay,
And as
so
far
it
as we
has to.
know, Goku doesn't exist in the real world.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you. So it has to reflect reality. And
Yeah.
what is reality?
The state of things being real.
Reality is the state of things being real. And what is real?
The state of things being observable and testable.
The state of things being observable and testable. But if it's the case that what is reality is real and the state of things being observable and testable, but you cannot test logic, then is logic real? You can't observe logic and you can't test it. So is that real under your worldview?
You can't observe logic of the concept.
How can you observe? I'm not speaking. You didn't even know what the 3 classical laws of logic was. I had to tell you. So I'm asking you, logic in it of itself, can you like look in a microscope or a telescope and see it in the stars? Can you actually observe it with your own sense data? That's what you just said. What's real is what we can observe.
If it reflects reality, you can.
Okay, how can we observe it though?
How can we observe? We can do things that make logical sense.
That's dumb.
Observe things that make logical sense.
That refuted it. We can do things. How do we know the things that we're doing actually makes logical sense?
That's like saying, how do we know that math makes logical sense?
Well, yeah, under your worldview, that will be that question too. How do we actually know these things? If it's the case, from what you said, reality is what's real, and what's real is what we can observe and what we can test. I'm asking you, then basically it's observation and it's what we can test. Do we have any observation of logic? Can we do any test on logic itself? We can only do the concept. We can only test what these concepts are in our mind.
Yeah.
So if it's the case, listen, let me land my plane. If it's the case that from your worldview, logic is only concepts, and the only way to test these concepts is by testing it in our mind, this would be subjective. That means that logic wouldn't even be objective. Logic would be subjective from your worldview. But that means that the mind is the ultimate tester. So any concept that I derive from my mind, I can test it within my mind, which would then make it reality, which then proves my point that Barney would be real. Narnia would be real. I'm cooking you right now.
You're really not. You're just saying a bunch
of No, you're being cooked.
No sense. I mean, you can think that. That's fine.
No, you're truly being cooked.
No,
it's a bloodbath. So if you like that clip and you want to watch more, click right here. But if you want to watch the full episode, click right here.